Hi, I'm Tim and this is Timberway Designs. In this video, I'm going to take a rocker slab and I'm going to make a cabochon out of it the way I make it. I'll take you through the whole process. So this week, I have a piece of Summerville Crazy Lace agate donated by a viewer. Let's make a cabochon. So this week's project is a piece of Crazy Lace. A viewer named Janie sent this to me from Mississippi. She got this in Georgia. And it's kind of pretty, actually. And I'm not positive for the name. I looked it up. You know, she said she got it in Georgia, and this is what came up, the Summerville Crazy Lace agate. The only problem with this one here is she sent a nice size rock, but it had so many fractures and pits and stuff in it. I cut this thing up, and this was the only piece I got that had a workable face on it. And then this right here is that right there, so I'm trying to avoid that pit right there. So move this aside. So what we're going to do, I got this flame template here, and we'll go with the 1 1/4. It seemed to be a good fit. Kind of avoided all the spots and everything. So we'll take ultrafine Sharpie here. It seems to work good with my templates that I make. So, and we'll just mark this out. Okay, so hopefully there's not a lot of cracks and fractures in this piece, and I'll be able to complete this without having it fall apart me. And this right here, I marked that out too. There's a nice fracture going that way. So I'm hoping we'll get a really good looking cab out of this. So now I'm going to take this downstairs. We're going to trim this up best we can, and then we'll take it over to the cab machine and start making a cabochon. All right, we're down here on my 10-inch high-tech lapidary saw, or trim saw. So I'm going to try to trim this out without breaking this shape, hopefully. And we're using a 10-inch continuous rim sintered diamond blade. And it don't have a sharp edge like a knife. It cuts by grinding. I was rubbing my thumb on there, no cuts on the glove. So, all right, let's see how well we can trim this out. All right, well, that's close enough for me. Let's move on to the cabbing machine. All right, we're on my 6-inch Kingsley North cabber. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to use the 80 grit, kind of remove some of this material here close to the line, and then we'll move over to 220 grit and we'll grind to the line, and then the 280 grit will get rid of the marks from the 220 grit. So let's start grinding. All right, that's close enough on that wheel. Let's move to 220 grit. Yeah, I just had a chunk fall out right here. We'll see how far we can get with this thing. All right, let's move on to 280 grit. Oh, I think this thing's going to fall apart before we get done here. All right, I'm going to put it on a dot pot and heat it up, put a stick on it, and let's see how we can do. All right, got it all dopped up, ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind a girdle in here. That's a flat spot from the bottom up, about 1/8 inch, 2 millimeters all the way around this cab. And you can see it started kind of falling apart right there. So hopefully that'll stay together. Well, keep our fingers crossed. So once I establish the girdle, I'll kind of work my way towards the center here, and then we'll start doming it, and we'll start all this on the 80 grit. So let's start. Okay, I've established the girdle, and another chunk fell out right here. You can see that. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. So now I'm going to start working it down, and stay away from your girdle now. You establish that. Just kind of work above that and get rid of this stuff up here and bring it down to the height that you want for your cab. All right, so I got kind of a crude dome going here. So we're going to start doming it now. All right, that's close enough, and this thing is literally falling apart. I got all kinds of chunks flying out here. I don't know if it's druzy pockets or just cracks and fractures. We're going to move over to 280 grit. Yeah, this thing, I mean, it's pretty and all, but I'm starting to see a lot of fractures and cracks in this. That's when I was cutting it, I was having a really hard time finding a clean piece, and this one wasn't it either. So we're going to move on to 280 grit. We're going to keep going. Actually, I'm going to finish up here quick. All right, now we're moving on to 280 grit. What we got going here? It's looking pretty good. All right, let's move over to the polishing side. All right, we're over here on the polishing side. I got a 600, 1200, 3000, and a cerium oxide disc around the corner. So we'll start with 600. Check and see how it's going here for the shine. Just checking for scratches. Yeah, looking pretty good except for all the fractures. All right, let's move on to the 1300 or 1200. All right, let's move on to 3000. All right, I'm curious to see what the shine looks like. That's not too bad. All right, I'm going to move it over to the cerium oxide and bump this a little bit, and then I'll throw it in the freezer and get it off the stick. All right, this is my cerium oxide disc. It's a replaceable disc that glues onto a foam pad. With this disc is peel and stick, and it screws into the end of my shaft here. I like it because it's clean, and it does a relatively good job. So let's see what kind of job it can do on this cabochon. All right, let's see what we got going here. Little pant leg. Almost dropped it on the floor. Yeah, that's not bad. I'll take it. So, like I said, I'm going to throw this in the freezer. We'll get it off the stick, hopefully in one piece, and we'll take a close look at it. All right, let's see what we ended up here with. Not a bad shine. Just a tiny bit of undercutting, and a lot of chunks were falling out of it while I was making it. You can see all that there. Honestly, I'm surprised it came off the daub stick in one piece. But it's a pretty little cabochon, some pretty material, but I just couldn't find a piece solid enough to make a really good cab out of. Even got some little red spots in there. Little souvenir lapidary wax there. So I'm gonna let Janie have first choice of this. It's kind of rough. If she don't want it, it's probably going to end up going into a dud pack. Unless, I was kind of thinking about maybe getting some lapidary epoxy or something and trying to fix the holes and rebuffing it. So that's still a possibility. Yeah, there it is, episode 65. So you got to watch me take a pile of this and make one cabochon that still had a lot of faults in it, but at least it stayed together through the process. So I'd like to thank Janie for sending that rock. I really appreciate it, and she sent a bunch of rocks. I got some really good ones for the series I do on Wednesdays where I cut 10 rocks in half. This one here, I thought it would be kind of cool for this series because it looked cool, and I just had a few issues with it. So episode 66. Now I'm going to try to say this right now. I got a piece of Amazonite. I'll put the name down below here because I always butcher these things. This is going to look pretty cool. So this video comes out every Saturday. I got another video that comes out every Wednesday where I cut 10 rocks in half and make cabochons out of those. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. Just slide down, push the subscribe button, absolutely free. Slide over, give me a thumbs up because that gets the analytics out there so more people can find this content. And then you can hype it, share it, and ring that bell to get notifications for when these videos come out. So I am going to put a playlist up someplace of these videos here if you just want to binge watch them. And then I got another playlist for my rock cutting series. So if you want to binge watch that, you can just kind of jump back and forth. You might enjoy it. I enjoy it. We all enjoy it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along and watching me make a cabochon out of this. That's all I got, and I'll catch you later.